Most men think disappearing is weak, that silence is avoidance. But silence, when done with purpose, is one of the most powerful moves a man can make. It's not the long texts that echo in her mind late at night, not the dramatic fights, the emotional goodbyes, or the desperate need for closure. What lingers is your absence. The moment she picks up her phone and expects a message, a missed call, a sign that you're still trying and finds nothing, that's when it hits. Your silence doesn't just speak, it roars. Because you didn't walk away to prove a point. You didn't disappear to get attention. You left because you realized that staying meant shrinking. That staying meant giving more of yourself to someone who already made it clear your presence was optional. And so you chose peace over performance. Dignity over desperation. He walked away, not out of anger, but out of awakening. You didn't slam the door, you just stopped knocking. It's what shakes her. The quiet decision, the calm withdrawal. You stopped engaging with a situation that no longer respected your energy, and instead of explaining your worth, you simply removed it. That silence is not emptiness, it's clarity. It tells her everything she needs to know. You saw the truth and acted on it. No dramatic exit, no emotional display. Just the realization that the version of you that kept showing up, hoping, waiting, betting he's gone. And what remains is a man who no longer needs to be heard to feel whole. Because once a man understands that peace is louder than pain, and absence is sometimes the most honest form of self-respect, he no longer fights to stay where he isn't honored. He just leaves, quietly, finally, completely. Asterisk, it's not enough. To leave, you have to stay gone. It's where the real strength lies. Most men crumble after they walk away. They go silent for a few days, block her number, unfollow her on social media. But deep down, they're still waiting. Waiting for a text, a sign, a moment to feel wanted again. And when it comes, even just a simple hey, they fold. They respond. They open the door they swore they had closed. But you're different. You don't flinch. You don't answer. The call, not because you're trying to punish her, but because you've made a decision, and now you honor it. You don't go back on your word, not to her, but to yourself. That's the discipline most men never reach. To feel the pull of emotion and still not act on it. To feel the wound being poked and not react. You've stopped being a puppet to emotional manipulation. You've stopped letting guilt, nostalgia, or temporary affection dictate your moves. Now you hold the line. Not from coldness, but from clarity. You finally understand the cost of keeping yourself emotionally available to someone who couldn't see your worth. And that kind of strength, it can't be faked. It's in your stillness. It's in your refusal to return to a cycle that almost broke you. And she feels it. Not in the texts you don't send or the calls you ignore, but in the energy she can't access anymore. You're no longer the man who needs validation from someone who mishandled your heart. You're the man who can sit with the silence and stay committed to his growth. And when you don't break character, when you don't chase or explain, you become the version of yourself she'll never expect it on now, can never reach again. Asterisk, you don't hold on to her, you hold on to what she taught you. That's the difference. Most men linger in the memory, hoping it will somehow bring comfort. They replay old messages, stare at photos, scroll through her social media late at night looking for signs that she still cares. But you've stepped out of that loop, because now you understand. The memory of her is not something to obsess over, it's something to learn from. She wasn't the destination, she was the mirror. She revealed the parts of you that were unfinished, unhealed, unguarded. And instead of denying it, you leaned in. You didn't run from the pain, you studied it. You asked yourself the hard questions. Why did I allow myself to be treated like that? Why did I accept crumbs and call it connection? Why did I silence my own needs just to keep someone who was never really mine? These aren't easy questions, but they are necessary. Because now, every time that old urge creeps in, the need to reach out, to explain, to hear her voice, you remind yourself of the lesson. The lesson is in the disrespect you tolerated, in the moments you abandon yourself for the sake of keeping her. That awareness becomes your anchor. It keeps you grounded. You stop idealizing what was and start building what will be. You don't run back to her hoping something has changed. You build yourself so that next time, you never have to question your worth again. She may have caused the pain, but you're the one turning it into purpose. And that's where real power begins. Because once you stop clinging to the past and start extracting wisdom from it, you evolve. You rise. And the man you become from that kind of reflection never makes the same mistake twice. Asterisk. Yeah. You don't need to be seen anymore. You need to become. That's the shift. Most men spend their post-breakup energy trying to prove something. They post curated photos, hit the gym for validation, pretend they've leveled up just to make her watch. But what they don't realize is that performing is still a form of dependence. It's seeking applause from the very stage you should have walked away from, not you. You don't flex for attention. You'll transform in silence. You're not trying to look like you've healed. You're actually healing. You're doing the work behind closed doors when no one is watching, when it's not glamorous. Because you've realized your worth isn't something that needs to be announced. It reveals itself in your consistency, in your discipline, in the way you rebuild. Without broadcasting the blueprint, and that quiet growth, that unshakable progress, it carries weight. It's not loud, but it's lasting. You're not chasing the illusion of being over her, becoming the man who doesn't need her anymore. That's the real win. Not because you've moved on faster, not because you've attracted someone new, but because the version of you that needed her validation no longer exists. And eventually, she'll feel that shift. She might stumble across your name, wonder where you went, see pieces of your evolution from afar, but by then, you won't be trying to prove anything. Because the man you are becoming doesn't look back for recognition. He moves forward with purpose. No more games, no more performance, just quiet, steady transformation. The kind of change that doesn't just impress others, it fulfills you. And that fulfillment, that deep inner peace, is what makes you truly untouchable. Not because you've become colder, but because you've finally become whole. Asterisk, she didn't choose you. Maybe she replaced you quickly. Maybe she acted like you never mattered, but that doesn't define you. It doesn't strip you of your worth. Most men crumble at the thought of not being chosen, thinking rejection equals failure. But you've reached a deeper truth. Her choice was never the measure of your value. It was a reflection of where she was, not where you're headed. You no longer chase love that comes with conditions. You no longer seek validation from someone who didn't have the vision to see what was in front of her. Because now you understand. Being chosen is not the goal, being in alignment is. Alignment sometimes means being left out, being overlooked, being set free. Not because you weren't enough, but because you were never meant to fit in a space that couldn't contain your potential. So you stop hoping she comes back. You stop waiting for clarity that won't arrive. You make peace with the unanswered questions and the doors that closed without warning. Not with bitterness, but with acceptance. You let go with grace. You walk forward without the weight of needing closure. Because real strength is in detachment. No longer needing to be understood, or missed, or remembered. You've stopped living in reaction. Now you live in direction. And with that comes a powerful freedom. Freedom from needing her love to feel lovable. Freedom from needing her regret to validate your pain. You've reclaimed your power, not through control, but through release. You don't look back to see. If she sees you rising, you're not rising for her. You're rising for yourself. That's the shift. She thought you were broken by her leaving, but the truth is her departure created the space for you to meet the man you were always meant to become.